Minister the Honourable Nick Smith.
Mr Chairman, I want to respond to a couple of the points that have been raised by the Green MP when he talks about a fundamental attack on the Woodhouse principles. Let me firstly deal with the awful and tragic issue of suicide, of which he said breaches the Woodhouse report. Well, the opposite is true. Absolutely the opposite. The Woodhouse report actually dealt with the sensitive issue of self-harm and suicide, and Owen Woodhouse concluded that it was not right that an accident compensation scheme cover for that situation. That was only included in an add-on to the scheme during the term of the previous government. It was only an add-on that was put in place by the previous government. It was not in the Woodhouse report. And the simple question I've got for Mr Haig is this. If a family loses a loved one from heart disease or from cancer, what is the entitlements of the family that are bereaved? The answer is that they're eligible for support from Work and Income New Zealand. And so the real question I've got for Mr Haig and for the Labour members is, why should a person who takes their own life have their family treated more generously than those that tragically die from heart disease, from cancer and from many other ailments? Because that's the real question. And the second challenge I would give to the member who's chipping in is this. Why, when you extended the scheme to include suicide and self-harm, did you not fund it? Well, they say, for goodness sake. Well, actually, if you want to extend schemes like ACC or the like, someone has to pay. And we should be honest and upfront. What is dishonest? What is dishonest is for Labour members to argue in this House that you can have these extensions of the scheme but nobody has to pay. That is not true. The next question I want to deal with is the issue of the limits with respect to the questions. Well, Marianne Street, again, let me show you how she's being quite dishonest. She signed the accounts for ACC in June. That's right. Marianne Street signed a set of accounts that showed a $2.4 billion loss when she was minister. That was based on a model of full funding. Not the cash in, cash out that she's trying to drag us into now. She said when she was minister that the proper accounting rules for ACC was full funding. And I've got a simple question for Labour members. I acknowledge the Green members are quite upfront and honest about this. They don't support full funding. They want pay as you go. Fair enough. I don't agree with them, but at least they're consistent. Labour members, what they're saying is, well, when we're in government we support full funding. In fact, you actually extended full funding to other accounts. But when we get into the debate on the bill, they suddenly want to change their tune and use the numbers on a pay-as-you-go basis. So, simple challenge for Labour members. Are you in favour of full funding or pay-as-you-go? Is Labour in favour of pay-as-you-go or full funding? We're in favour of full funding. The Green Party has said they're pay-as-you-go. What's Labour's position? Here is a fundamental policy issue about ACC. The spokesperson, David Parker, says they're in favour of full funding, and Marianne Street, who was in favour of full funding when she was minister, doesn't know. Members can only conclude that Labour have no idea what they stand for with respect to ACC. And then we come to a further issue, and it's around the issue of holiday pay. And the Green member argued, and Labour members have also argued, that somehow a person should be able to receive ACC and their holiday pay entitlements at the same time. Now, for goodness sake, whenever was in building our welfare state and social provisions like holiday pay and ACC and benefits, did we ever say that people should be better off when they're off after an accident than what they are when they're working? Because that's what it means. What Labor members are arguing, Mr Chairman, what Labor and Green members are arguing is that people should be better off after an accident than what they were when they were working. Well, that's not sensible. That's not sound. And for a person to be able to get holiday pay, so they say that they have earned it. Of course they have. But nobody's denying them that right to their holiday pay. We're just simply saying you can't get holiday pay and ACC at the same time if you are not returning to work. If the person, let's be very clear what the provisions of this bill do. If the person is off work temporarily, let's say they're off work for a month, this bill makes absolutely plain they keep their holiday entitlements. They're not having to use it as a substitute there. But if they are to be permanently on ACC, no, they can't get both lots. And I think that is fair. And members here are really saying we can have these double add-ons because they are totally imbalanced in the view of the levy payers who actually have to pay for this. What was most extraordinary from the Green member was the argument that crims should get ACC income lump sums because otherwise... Oh, well, this is very interesting. The Labor members are arguing they should be able to get. And the most interesting part in the minority report is this. Labor members agree that an offender like Graham Burton should not receive lump sum or earning-related compensation. Well, who was the government when Graham Burton committed the awful tragedy with Carl Kuchenberger? Who was the minister? Mary Ann Street. Did ACC apply to the court to have him disentitled? No. Well, who's to blame? Mary Ann Street. Good question. Who was the minister? Who was the minister at the time? Mary Ann Street. You know, during Mary Ann Street's time as minister, there was not a single occasion when there was disentitlement for any criminal. And I'm looking forward, like all other members of the government, getting out on the traps arguing, vote for Labor, ACC for crims, vote for National, and we take a more balanced and reasonable perspective. We do say that if somebody commits a crime regardless, they should get medical care. But I find it offensive when a person who has committed a criminal act then gets a lump sum payment from ACC, and that is why we are making that change. The last point I want to note is with respect to the issue of hearing. And both Labor and Green members effectively say we can have a limitless scheme. They argue against levy increases, but we can have a scheme that goes forever. Well, I actually went along to my local audiologist and had the test because I wanted to get a feel for these provisions. And I did a lot of tractor work in my student days, and I was advised by my audiologist that I've got hearing loss of about 1.9%, and it's in the frequency that work related. And members here say that, well, I should be able to get an ACC claim because they believe in a limitless scheme. Well, members on this side say that's not possible. If we look at the huge increase in costs associating with hearing aids, it is our view that there needs to be some sensible limits. Australia has 5% in some states, 6% in other. The United Kingdom, developed countries, Canada, the United States. The member says that it's heartless. Says that it is heartless. I just think that is left-wing mumbo-jumbo from a member that is disengaged with the real issues of cost with respect to ACC and the fact that someone has to pay. The real simple question is, do Labor members believe that I should be able to get an ACC-funded hearing aid? Or we say on our side of the house, no, your hearing loss is not bad enough at only 1.9% that you need to get a hearing aid. If it gets over 6%, then they do. Well, that's just sort of the members opposite. Actually don't want to acknowledge that ACC cannot be limitless. They want to promise everybody every little entitlement out there and somehow pretend that someone does not have to pay. That is not the case, and that's why members opposite are incorrect.
I call Moana